All right, today we're going to tell, well, the biggest story of all time. Seriously, not the story of a person or a country or even our planet. We're going to tell the biography of a single atom following its absolutely incredible 13.8 billion year odyssey across the cosmos.
But before we get into all that cosmic stuff, let me ask you a question. What's your story? I mean, where did you really, truly come from? What are you actually made of? And you might think you have the answer, right? But I promise you, the real story, it's so much bigger, so much older, and way more connected to the stars than you could possibly imagine. There's this amazing poet, Octavio Paz, who just nailed this feeling. We feel so small looking up at the night sky, right? But what he's saying is, we're not just looking at the universe, we're part of its story. The story of the stars is our story. So let's get into it. Okay, so to make this whole thing feel real, we're going to trace the history of just one atom. Let's pick an oxygen atom. And get this, it's an atom that could literally be inside your body right now as you're listening to this. So yeah, meet our hero. I know, it's not your typical protagonist. It's an atom. But this little guy has seen it all. The birth of galaxies, the death of stars, the beginning of life on this planet. Its journey is your journey. So, where does our story start? Well, like all good stories, right at the very beginning. We're talking about a time of just unimaginable heat and energy, where the ingredients for everything we know are first cooked up.
Just try to wrap your head around this. Everything. Everything you see, everything you know. We're talking over 400 billion galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. All of it existed in a single point. And that point was the size of a baseball. No joke. The entire universe, all of it, squeezed into something you could hold in your hand. It sounds absolutely crazy, I know, but that's where our atom story kicks off. And that first second, whoa, it was just pure chaos. We're talking about 10 to the 89th power collisions. That number is so big, it's basically meaningless. It's more collisions in one single second than there are atoms in the entire universe we know of. This wasn't just energy, it was the raw, untamed power of creation. But out of all that chaos, something incredible started to happen. The universe started to expand and cool down. And gravity, the great sculptor of the cosmos, right? It started pulling together all that early hydrogen and helium into these giant clouds. These were basically the nurseries for the very first stars. But here's the thing. Our oxygen atom, it wasn't born in some gentle, glowing star. Nope, it was born in a star's violent death. See, when a really, really massive star runs out of fuel, gravity just takes over. It's been fighting it for millions of years, and it finally wins. The core crushes itself, collapses in a split second, and then rebounds in this massive shockwave that just tears the whole star apart. And boom, you get a supernova. A pretty big bang, to borrow a phrase. An explosion so incredibly powerful, it can briefly outshine its entire galaxy. And it's inside that hellish furnace that new, heavier elements are forged. So this whole process has a name, nucleosynthesis. And it's one of the most important things that happens in the entire universe. It's basically the universe's element factory. All that intense pressure fuses lighter elements into heavier ones. Things like carbon, iron, and yes, our oxygen atom. This is the moment our hero was finally born. Okay, so our hero is born, but its story is just getting started. Now begins this long, lonely trip through the vast emptiness between the stars. So, blasted out from that supernova, our atom is now officially stardust. It's part of this gorgeous, expanding cloud of gas and dust that we call a nebula. And this stuff, this is the raw material for future worlds. And for billions of years, just try to imagine that amount of time, our little atom just drifted. It was a cosmic wanderer, really, just waiting for gravity to call it back into action, to pull it into a new cloud that would someday become a new star and new planets. So after that super long journey, our atom story takes a huge turn. About 4.5 billion years ago, it finally arrived at its destination, this young, rocky planet circling a pretty average star. A place we now call Earth. Think about it. Our atom was here when the Earth was just forming. It was part of the oceans when the very first tiny life forms appeared, like 3.8 billion years ago. It saw the explosion of complex life. It was around for the entire 150 million year reign of the dinosaurs. It was here for the whole show. So let's just recap our atom's resume for a second.
It's been a part of the Big Bang's first moments, the fiery core of a star, the beautiful debris of a supernova. It's crossed the galaxy, become a drop of water in Earth's oceans, and eventually was pulled into a living cell. What a life, right?
And here is the absolute wildest part of all. This isn't just some story about a hypothetical atom. This is the literal history of the atoms inside of you. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, every bit of it was forged in the heart of a dying star. You are, quite literally, made of stardust.
And that's not just a cool science fact, you know? It's a profound connection. It's a direct physical link between you, sitting here right now, and the biggest events in the history of the cosmos.
The astrophysicist Sir Arthur Eddington had a beautiful way of thinking about this. He said, imagine you take a cup of water, and you can magically label every single atom in it. Then you dump it in the ocean. If you wait long enough and then take a cup of water from anywhere else in the world, you'd find some of your original atoms in it. It's the same idea. The atoms of the cosmos have mixed and spread and become part of everything, including us. We're all fundamentally connected.
So what does this all mean? It leads to this amazing realization. We tend to think of ourselves as being in the universe, looking out at it. But it's so much more intimate than that. The universe isn't just out there. You are not just living in the universe is living in you. So every single atom that makes you, you, has been on this epic, unimaginable journey just to get here. You are the current, living, breathing chapter of a story that's 13.8 billion years old. So I guess the only question left is, what are you going to write in yours?